Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Logistics, where we have conversations with thought leaders and newsmakers in the supply chain logistics industry. It's my great pleasure to welcome today's program Winnie Barton, who is User Experience Manager at MegaCorp Logistics, and Kyler Ford, who is Chief Revenue Officer at Trucker Tools. And today we're going to talk about navigating changing times in the freight industry. So we all know that the freight market is cyclical, and it's impacted by many factors. So inflation and slowing economic growth are in the headlines, today. So how is the current state of the freight industry impacting logistics service providers and the carriers and shippers that they work with? And, what actions can they take to, mitigate the impact and successfully navigate, these changing times, and how can technology help? Well, those are some of the questions we're going to kind of dive into in today's episode. And it's great to have Winnie and Kyler on the program to share their insights and advice on this topic. So Winnie, Kyler, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Great to be here.
Great. Well, Winnie, you're a first-time guest here on Talking Logistics, and I'm sure some people might be familiar with, MegaCorp Logistics. Some people may not be. So maybe before we dive into the topic, why don't you tell us a little bit about, MegaCorp Logistics and your operations and your role there?
Absolutely. MegaCorp Logistics was established in 2009 by Ryan and Denise Legg. There are amazing founders. We couldn't ask for better leadership with our company. We currently have around 640 employees with 5 offices nationwide, with Wilmington, North Carolina being our headquarters. We're currently hauling over 5,000 loads weekly. Servicing full truckload, LTL drayage, intermodal, you name it, we ship it in North America. And we had a really interesting year. Obviously, 2020 was a little crazy, but we transitioned our previous proprietary TMS system to a web-based proprietary TMS system. So it was a big change for us, and we named it Hero. And it really just opened the door for enhancing our digital load board and just new integration partners such as Trucker Tools and Smart Capacity. And in 2021, we launched our relationship with Smart Capacity and Trucker Tools. So it was very exciting. My user experience role, I was a freight broker from 2016 to 2020. And I had a lot of experience on the floor in the day-to-day kind of grind of being a broker. And I started working with our tech team as a business user for our proprietary TMS system. And now I represent our customers and our carriers and our business users at MegaCorp when there's an integration opportunity or just any type of opportunity there is to discuss any type of our resources that we have at MegaCorp.
Yeah, that's a great background. I love the title, user experience. I mean, that's something that has been getting growing attention over the past few years, right? So particularly from the technology side of things, right? So it was always about the features and functions, but a lot of times, user experience was a second or third, priority. But making it easy, enabling, in your case, shippers and carriers to easily access the technology, easily access the information that they're looking for, it's key in this industry. And having someone with that title within a logistics service provider, I think is key. And I don't think I've come across someone that has that same exact title as you do. So that's awesome. So let's start with a question that I think you might have answered differently, a few months ago or last year at this time, and that is, how would you characterize the current state of the freight industry, and how is it impacting, MegaCorp, and how is it impacting the carriers and shippers that you work with?
Absolutely, that's a great question. Obviously, during the pandemic era, there was a lot of uncertainty in the transportation industry. The ports were overwhelmed, supply chain was disrupted, just so many obstacles. But despite the obstacles, surprisingly, 2021 was a record year for a lot of carriers and a lot of brokerage companies. They obviously, with that record growth, purchased new equipment to be able to sustain those consumer needs. And fast forward to 2022, we're seeing market slowdowns, we're seeing volume down, the warehouses and inventory. The inventory is full over the last, in North America. And, we saw in January, March, and May, that there was an increased amounts of MC authority revocations, just, the high costs of running a truck now, right? You have equipment costs, repairs, the diesel prices. We see that on the news every single day. The diesel prices rising, and it's just been an extremely tough environment for our carrier partners. So we're just super focused on helping our carriers with reloading opportunities, less deadhead miles for pickup locations. And Trucker Tools has just been such an amazing partner to help us do this with our carriers.
That's great. Yeah, no, you want to add something else?
No, we're just seeing on a customer standpoint too. We're seeing a lot of customers and shippers implementing RFPs, for the first time in a few years. I was talking to one of our brokers on the floor, and he was like, I haven't seen an RFP in 3 years, and I had one sent to me yesterday. So, most of our customers are definitely focused on quarterly RFPs versus annual RFPs. And, just a nationwide industry push of good service we're seeing. That's something that our customers and our shippers are focused on, is cost savings, and, they're just being a little bit more selective with their carrier partners.
Yeah, no, I think you brought up a lot of great, points there, and some key trends that are happening in the industry. Obviously from the carrier side, their operating costs have been going up. Obviously, fuel being the thing that's in the headlines, but things like insurance, and now with the slowing economy, and the like, trying to make, trying to make ends meet, has become, more difficult, particularly for the smaller owner operators. Is what I'm seeing. And then on the shipper side, you're right. I mean, I work with a lot of shippers, and, they're looking at, moving to a more, smaller bids, more continuous bids, in terms of being able to respond effectively to, to the ebbs and flow of the market. Kyler, kind of shifting over to you a little bit. I mean, what are you hearing from kind of the other logistics service providers and the carriers that you work with? I mean, are there objectives and priorities changing?
Yeah, I think it definitely has since last year, and the folks and the partners that we work with on the logistics side, like MegaCorp being a great one, they're really focused on that carrier experience, because having those reuse, having those value carriers at their disposal, obviously are what helps them win those RFPs and provide consistent quality service, right, that differentiates them from others in the industry. So we continue to see them reinvesting in technologies like Hero, for example, at their proprietary TMS, and whether it's a in-house built TMS that they own and love, or maybe someone else that they're buying and partnering with in that case. Those folks are at the forefront of making sure that all those systems end up feeding back just this great service platform, both for the carrier experience, as well as just their internal efficiencies. I think, when we talked to people last year, they were just focused on growth and hiring. And I think now more so than anything, they're focused on processes and systems internally that just make all of those things more efficient. And maybe they pull back on the hiring just a little bit and make sure that the folks that they do have are just really empowered to do a great job, right? And then on the flip side, being at Trucker Tools, we service 3PLs and brokerages of all sizes, but we also have this mobile app and this appeal to the drivers. So we're making sure that we're putting together all of the best tools on that app for the drivers, whether it's fuel prices, an indication for where they should be stopping, insurance partner opportunities, factory partner opportunities, whatever it may be. We want it at their disposal. So when they do track one of our shipments through MegaCorp or elsewhere, they book a load on Smart Capacity, these other pieces that are impacting them are all there at their disposal as well. So they're not having to go look and find them. So we're just making sure that, when we're talking to our partners, that anything that they feel like is of value to them in this kind of ebb and flow, difficult stretch of the market, we're helping to solidify as much as possible, right? Like they're obviously going to feel some impacts, but we've done a good job with our user experience team, feedback from folks like Winnie, to make sure that everything we are giving them is useful and providing that return on investment, which is what everyone wants. So again, I think what's neat about it, Trucker Tools, is that we work with so many different types of brokerages, folks that specialize in flatbed, the typical kind of stuff. MegaCorp does a little bit of everything, and then smaller all the way up to, the biggest of the big. So we see it in the pain points kind of occurring at different times, at different places with each of them. But the ones that are forward thinking, the ones that have kind of thought in a longer term vision, generally don't seem to feel the pressure or the pain as much as others. So yeah, we just continue to provide kind of real time feedback and improvements to our system to help them deal with those.
You know, it's interesting how if we were talking a year ago, and certainly during the the boom, if you will. I mean, a lot of the focus, like you said, was, hey, how can we scale our operations profitably, right? So without having to hire an army of people, but our growth is going through the roof. So how can we change our processes and implement technology to enable that enable that hyper growth. And then, in times like these, I think both of you kind of reflected on this a little bit. It's, the focus is more about, process efficiency. It's more about customer retention or carrier experience, those things. And at the end of the day, technology plays, a key role in fulfilling both those types of priorities or objectives. Which brings me back to you, Winnie. I mean, kind of in response to these ever-changing market conditions, everything that both you and Kyler, just talked about. I mean, what actions have you taken to, support your carrier partners, and how can technology help?
Yeah, I mean, as we know, carriers are the backbone of our industry. Without them, we wouldn't be able to service our clients. And I always go back to Prasad's meaning of the word CRM. I love how he uses that as the carrier relationship management tool. Because typically we've always historically heard that as like the customer relationship management. So again, carriers are our partners. We value them tremendously. A couple things that we're definitely doing for our carriers is, essentially just providing different opportunities for them to be able, to send their documents to us a little bit sooner so that they can get paid sooner. Having just all of these different resources, whether it be communicating with us through Smart Capacity, these loads that we're posting through Smart Capacity through digital freight matching aren't on the external large platforms yet. They're getting first access to our loads real time as they're being built in our system as a Smart Capacity vendor. So we're just trying everything we can to give them good access to all of our load availabilities, and obviously ensure that they have access to give us their documents as well for prompt payment, because we really understand that obviously it's a high cost for running a truck right now. We want to get them paid as soon as possible so that they can keep moving and keep running their truck.
Yeah, I mean, those are great points. I mean, I think, when you talk about Smart Capacity, carriers worry about two things, they worry about a lot of things, but one of the things they worry about is obviously when am I going to get my next load, or how do I keep my trucks moving? Because that's how they're making money, is keeping their trucks moving. So I mean, any ways that technology can help that is key. But the other thing is, just cash flow, right? Yeah. And getting paid fast and getting paid on time is critical, as you mentioned. So I think the ability to simplify, get away from these paper-based right. types of transactions to be able to expedite that payment is key for them. Any days that you can pull in the payment, I think it helps these carriers, immensely. So Kyler, going over to you. I mean, kind of to just build upon that. I mean, are there certain technology capabilities that are more important today in light of the current market conditions that carriers, brokers, ought to be thinking about or prioritizing?
Yeah, well, Winnie hit it on it, nail on the head with the carrier relationship management, in the sense that it really, in the way we look at it, in my mind, it's not just one thing, right? Just like your CRM and Salesforce has a lot of components to it that make it successful or not, right? We could all buy one off the shelf, and whether or not we use certain features and functionality is probably what makes one of us better than the other at it, right? And the same thing is with the CRM that we talk about, is making sure that all these tools kind of are available and they work together to feed this user experience that just is nice, right? Like, we like to do business with things in life that are seamless and kind of very lightweight, but we have this great feeling, whether or not it's instantaneous, whether it's just like a good customer service interaction, right? All those things need to play together with each other. So technologies that help that, as Winnie alluded to, is the ability to upload documents in real time. So that's been around now in the industry for some time, but I think carrier adoption of it is always generally slow, and just the sense of how they're used to doing things. So I think in this type of environment, drivers and carriers start to utilize those more when they realize that they're at their disposal. And whether that's through our app or whether that's through another integration or partnership, they're starting to use those more. On terms of smart capacity or on the digital front, they're seeing availability to book loads easier and faster that are preferential to their lanes that they like to run, right? We call that dibs, and the ability for them to have access to those sooner is easier, right? It doesn't take as long to find. It's the transaction's easier, and we've also enabled the availability to go back and forth in terms of the bidding process. So, just like if you're booking a hotel on Priceline and you have like an idea of what you want to buy, you can go in there and put those parameters and you end up getting one spit back out for you. And the same is with these loads. And where that helps Winnie and her team is that they don't have to be monitoring it in real time every second. But these folks, when they get done with their load, they can go in, see what's available, book, make an offer, and it's back and forth so seamlessly that they really enjoy the experience, right? And then the other component of it too with technologies is just even on the back end, more like Winnie's side and their team side, is just the availability for these open API integrations and people like ourselves and Trucker Tools willing to play nice with other partners in the industry. Historically, everything's been very siloed and you have to buy a lot of separate systems and they don't talk well with each other. And all that really does is cause a lot of pain on all sides. There's no real win in that experience. So now that I think a lot of folks like Trucker Tools are willing to share data and integrate with each other and make the flow very seamless, it actually comes back and benefits the carrier a lot because the communication is a lot shorter, it's more shortened to them. They see it kind of more widespread across the organization, and the stress doesn't exist kind of within the the day-to-day operations. So there's a lot of great technologies being spun up. Some are being consolidated, which is also probably a good thing too. But I think we see it on a day-to-day basis that the folks like MegaCorp and others that are leading the way that have 600 plus people on their companies are just constantly pushing the envelope in terms of the things that they're able to do from a technology front, whether that's a TMS, whether that's the digital freight booking offering that we provide and the feature functionality that we have and want to build in our product roadmap, whatever the case may be. Those folks are the ones that are able to see these carrier reaches just increase over time because they're just providing the seamless experience. So thanks for bringing Winnie CRM up because we like to talk about it. And it's something that gets thrown around a lot in our industry, but I don't think it's always defined and laid out. I think people think it's like a one brush stroke thing, but it really is compiled with a lot of other strategies that you guys are working on. So we love it.
Yeah, no, I love it too. And I think when we've had Prasad in the program in the past, he's brought that up. And I think the first time he brought it up, I'm like, gosh, darn it, I should have thought of that. That's I'm going to steal that. I'm going to borrow that from now on because I think it is a great point. And Kyle, you bring up a great point. I think, so in terms of, the ecosystem of technologies that are out there and the need for these all these technologies to work together as seamlessly as possible. So Winnie, obviously you guys invested to enhance your own internal TMS system, moving it to, a web-based or a cloud-based solution. But as you were looking, obviously you focused on the areas that you wanted to invest in internally that made the most sense for you, but then you looked to partners like Trucker Tools, to bring in the capabilities and functionality that they bring to the table. But obviously, in today's age, having that API integration capability or making sure that, the systems play nice with each other and seamlessly with each other must have been a priority as well, right?
Absolutely. It's super important that anytime we integrate with a partner, that it works well for not only our employees or our business users that are using our Hero system, but we also offer our clients a customer platform called Hero Connect, to where they can view real-time appointment information, visibility. They have full transparency of what's happening with their loads, and these integration tools actually integrate with our customer platforms as well as our carrier platform that we have on the flip side, which is called MegaWeb. So again, anytime we're integrating with anyone, we really have to consider, all of the different types of softwares that we have as a company, and if they make sense for all of them, because Hero Connect actually is connected with Trucker Tools. So they have real-time tracking capabilities if they wanted to log on to their portal and view load information. So yeah, it's super important when choosing a vendor partner or, any type of integration partner, that you're looking at all different types of resources that it's going to affect within the company.
Yeah, well, not only, yeah, I think the point you just put up, I think is great too, because it's not only within you, the users are not only MegaCorp employees, it's
Right.
also your carriers and your customers, right? So you have to, take them into consideration as part of the whole user experience of the technology that you bring to the
Absolutely.
table. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to know what our real users are experiencing, right? As tech, as tech, employees, we can, assume that this is how they would use a product or this is how they would use a functionality. But the people that are doing this job every day are the ones that are teaching us things about how, they're evaluating certain situations or handling certain situations with software. So we owe it to really the people, the customers, the carriers, and our MegaCorp employees for giving us, insight on what they do every single day to make our software definitely, more enhanced and more efficient for them.
Great, great. So as a way to wrap up, and Winnie, I'll start with you, and then Kyler, you can add your perspective as well. I mean, now we're heading into the second half of 2022 and the holiday season, of course. So what actions should logistics service providers take to successfully navigate these changing times in the freight industry and meet the needs of your carrier partners and customers as well?
I can't say it enough. Service, it really boils down to relationships. They're the key to transportation as far as for our customers and our carriers. For customers, it's more or less providing consistent pricing that are in alignment with the market rates. Do your research, stay up to date with market trends, look at the LinkedIn articles, research daily, weekly. The market can flip in an hour. Having that knowledge for your clients as well as your carriers is super beneficial. Also too, providing your clients and carriers with information as a company on your tech resources. A lot of times your customers don't know if you have a new report out that could help them be more efficient, or you have a carrier platform that can help the carriers see their payments real time. So just communicating with them all of the different technology resources that you have as a company is just super beneficial as far as efficiency. And again, just always on my end, I'm always continuing to research new transportation tech platforms and integration opportunities. There's so many cool things out there these days. We recently partnered with TextLocate that gives us the ability to text drivers on a platform, and it was awesome. It was just really a cool opportunity. So like Smart Capacity, like Trucker Tools, like TextLocate, like all these other integration partners, there are really cool opportunities to be found out there.
So I heard, stay informed of market conditions, stay informed of what's happening on the technology landscape, because, you want to continuously innovate and continuously add, capability, and communicate effectively with, customers, carriers, and the like, and ultimately if you do all those things together, you're going to be able to compete effectively on not only on the cost front, from a process efficiency standpoint and the like, but also from a customer experience, a user experience, standpoint as well. Kyler, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think she nailed it. I think customer experience and just the service level, and I think how you do that is through visibility and transparency. And visibility from the sense of, obviously, we provide a visibility platform in the sense of you can see where loads are at any given time. But the great part about that is utilizing it to your advantage when something is off track or not going as well. Like, utilize that to get out ahead of it and provide the customer with this experience that they feel like, wow, these guys, they care about me. Even if something does go wrong, they're proactive. They're utilizing tools that they have at their disposal to let me know the changes, so then I can make the changes I need to, right? So giving people and empowering them with the information so they can do something with it, right? So that's the visibility. And the transparency is just like she said, keeping an eye on the market and seeing how it's changing and being flexible, as a company. And we try to do that a lot, but like if we're working with Hero or a different proprietary TMS or even another TMS that's off the shelf, our ability to work with customers and integrate in a way that benefits how they've set things up is really our key to success. So flexibility, whether or not you're dealing with a customer or whether we're dealing with as a tech partner, is really key as things are changing quickly. Because we want to be able to say, oh, this is something we can do in 2 weeks and not 2-3 months, because by then the pain point may not even exist anymore, or it might be too late, right? As they're bidding on these RFPs, there might be additional qualifications, there might be other partnerships that are involved, and through ELD integrations or whatever the case may be, right? And things or requirements they have to do. And we want to meet as the vendor partner, say, hey, we can take care of those for you. So I think MegaCorp is doing a lot of these things as the market has changed. But the reality is it's almost the end of the year. And I know we're sitting in July, but it doesn't take long before we get to the holiday season and things just start already kind of winding down heading into the next year, right? So people are budgeting now for those projects for next year. They're seeing what they can get done in the 6 months they have left, right? So what I tell people a lot is just start working backwards a little bit, right? In terms of their project plans and deliverables that they want to get done for the year, and make sure there's enough time to do it. And if not, prioritization is super key. We have to deal with it as a technology company, right? We can't do everything out there, but we have to make sure we do the things that have the biggest impact on our customers and the industry. So have them do the same kind of self-analysis, right? And things that they want to accomplish by the end of the year. And also, when we meet with folks, I think Prasad talks about this all the time. We talk about their digital strategy. And that's pretty complex if you think about it, because there's a lot of stakeholders there. Winnie and her team, I'm sure there's the head of IT there as well, CTOs, there's people on the operations side that have their priorities, right? So making sure you're having that meeting and coming together in the second half of the year to say, hey guys, are we all in the line of kind of what we want to do in the upcoming year? And know that they all take time, they all take resources away from other things, right? And they also obviously have a cost associated with them. So just making sure you're having those collective communication meetings, so that way when you get to the fourth quarter and or the prep to Q1 of 2023, everyone's on the same page, and it's easy to meet with folks like Checker Tools and others to clearly say, hey, this is when we want to act on this. This is what our plan is here. And then we can all work really well together that way. It's a really successful method, I feel like, for the folks that have done it, and I've seen it in action. It's just really successful versus kind of the react approach that kind of happenstance, right? So anyways, I think it's going to be exciting second half of this year, 2022, and who knows what the kickoff of 2023 will be like, but I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, I think, we've learned to expect the unexpected in this industry. And I think both of you brought up some great, words of advice, some great insights, and we could probably end up speaking for another hour, and still not be done with this topic. But it just gives us an excuse to maybe bring you back on the program, down the road to see where we're at. But again, I want to thank both of you for making the time to be with us today. Winnie, thank you. Kyler, thank you both for being on the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
If you're watching this episode on demand and you've got a question for Winnie or Kyler, you can post it either at the Trucker Tools website or on Talking Logistics. And I'm sure that they'll be both happy to respond via that medium. Again, thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you in a future episode of Talking Logistics. Have a great day.